It's the Kink Consultant Podcast, where we're turning up the heat on all things kink and dating, relationships, and pop culture. So close the door, plug in your headphones, and let's get down to it. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Kink Consultant. I am once again joined by a fellow spanko. You know I cannot separate myself from the spanko community. Flora, welcome. Thank you for joining.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we have been in the same circles, in the same room as each other previously, but at the Texas Allstate Spanking Party, I attended one of your classes. I was obsessed because I've never heard this class offered before. And you did Spanko Skincare 101.
It was a really fun time. It's turned into a small passion project, so I was excited to share it.
Was this your first time teaching it, or have you taught this a couple of times?
No, it was my first time teaching it. I taught it twice, so I did it 2 times at TASP, but that was the first time. I'd been gathering information with my doctor for like months.
I remember thinking, who is her doctor? And maybe I missed that at the beginning, but like, who is your doctor that you felt close enough to ask these questions to?
I actually outed myself to him because I was going through some health issues at the time. I had cancer, and I was just kind of starting to come into my own as a spanko at the same time that I got this news and I was going through treatment, and so I really didn't want to stop playing. But breaking skin and immune system problems became a concern very quickly, especially because my skin was just breaking down really fast. And so I just kind of bit the bullet and outed myself to him and was like, I need help. Like, I really want to do this thing, but it seems to be that I can't do this thing because you don't even want me to like shave my legs. And so he was like, okay, let's try and figure this out. And he was very thoughtful, very respectful. He's been awesome. And he's been able to talk to other dermatologists, like actual dermatologists, instead of just him as a cancer doctor, create a whole document. And it's been his little side project. And throughout the time, I would get curious and ask questions, and I would ask him. He's like, that's a good question. And then he'd go off and do more research. And so it just kind of came to be that we wanted to create this document, especially when he found out some of the different things we were doing. He was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, stop doing that.
Oh,
stop.
Like what? What did he say to stop?
The biggest thing that he got grouchy about was people using Tegaderm without an occlusive under it and then playing on top of it.
Can you explain what Tegaderm is?
Okay, so Tegaderm is very similar to the clear film that you get after a tattoo. It's basically the same exact thing. Tegaderm is a brand name, I think, actually, but it's just the clear wound film that people put on top after impact play. And it's totally fine to play on top of. You just need an occlusive between, because otherwise if you go and wipe it off and swipe it off with a belt or a strap or whatever you're playing with at the time, it takes skin off as well. And I made this mistake and then had worn jeans after, and he was like, why did you put this on? I was like, I don't know, everyone puts it on. Like, that's just
it is what we do.
It's what everyone does. And he was like, how did this start? And I was like, I think that people just think it's pretty because like band-aids are kind of big and clunky and bulky, and they are. Like, don't get me wrong, sometimes they are, especially if you're trying to play all weekend. But I was like, but otherwise I have no actual idea why we do that. And he was like, stop. Like, if you're gonna do that, you need to put like an occlusive in between. It is that stuff that is like petroleum jelly, Vaseline, triple antibiotic ointment is also technically an occlusive, and that will work just as well. But some people are allergic to that, so I don't always say to use that.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
You gotta like keep an eye on that stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay, so like a little bit of Vaseline under the Tegaderm.
After you've cleaned it out. Like, you need to clean it out because occlusives will trap bacteria. But also, the other part of this is Tegaderm is technically an occlusive. Like, it will also trap bacteria. So no matter what you're doing, you need to clean out your wound before you cover it.
And I don't even know. I'm like, how do I explain this to everyone? Yes, sometimes we play hard. Sometimes we play to the point of skin breaking, and it happens. It happens at these weekend-long parties where there's just a lot going on. It happens also if one time I spent 2 hours in a hot tub before getting spanked, and my lovely spanker was like, I need to stop. Your skin is just way too dried out for this. Thank God he was aware enough to be like, this needs to stop. But yeah, so it can even happen in one session.
You hear a lot of people talk about weeping, where their skin will start to reveal, it's actually just plasma coming through the skin. So it's not blood, but it looks like sweat, and it's little pearls that show up on a person's butt, and they think it's open. And I'm like, it's not open, but it is close, and you should probably stop if you don't want open skin. Like,
I have definitely played to that place a lot, and then that's where I've stopped because I don't.
That's what happens to me
skin.
Frequently.
So I'm half Iranian, half Irish. I am not white. Do you know what I mean? My butt doesn't go.
I'm in Texas, so I feel like if you were like sitting in Texas all day, we might even out.
Maybe I'm in. It's like, I do have a little bit of a tan. So when you talked about not getting rosy pink, right? I related so hard because I'm like, yes, I too do not. I have brown nipples and my butt doesn't go rosy pink. when
Yeah.
it's spanked, which is upsetting to me, but it is what it is. So when you described that, I was like, yeah, I can relate. But also sometimes, and I have a lot of people ask me about this, so I definitely want to mention it. And it happened to me recently, just this year. I got spanked to the point of now having what I kind of was like, is this a permanent bruise? But it's just permanent discoloration. And in your class, I want you to say it again, but in your class, you sort of gave me hope this will go away eventually. And I needed to just take better care of myself afterwards. So what did I do wrong? How could I have avoided? And then I have play partners who think they bruised me, and I'm like, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but this is from a long time ago, and I fucked myself.
6 months ago, and it is what it is. So that is called PIH. It is a hyperpigmentation that happens after impact. And you are genetically predisposed to it. So like, it's not necessarily something that is going to go away permanently, but it's definitely something that you can take care of and lighten quicker than what is already happening if you didn't take care of it. And if you just take care of it like a normal post spanking party routine. I personally have started using Paula's Choice, which has a couple different ingredients in it that I can go through. But basically the main idea is that one, you can't just like exfoliate the shit out of your skin and make it better tomorrow. You're probably just going to irritate it. I had somebody
smiling
try and tell me because you did.
I just thought I could exfoliate it away. I did.
Yeah, because the problem is it's based on inflammation. It's post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation is what it is. And so it's not just that first layer, and it's going to take a while to go away. So the things that you can use are things like vitamin C serum has been a lot of people's go-to, and I've found that it also works for me. And whenever I tell them, they're like, this was my lifesaver. Because what it does is it's just brightening, but it's not bleaching or lightening. Bleaching or lightening will just weaken your skin. And that is not it if we're trying to play in the future.
Definitely not.
Definitely not it. And then I personally really took to a gentle exfoliation, not just like a hardcore scrub or anything. And I do that a couple of times a week and then ease off of it as I'm about to go into another party, just because I don't want my skin to be irritated. And so I use like Dove Gentle Cleanser exfoliation bar. It's super, super light and it's not going to do much damage. You can't really overuse it. Whereas with like a scrub or a dry brush, I've had so many people be like, I tried dry brushing and I'm like, that's great. Except for the problem is you're just going to irritate the shit out of your butt. And like, that's not it either.
I'm having this moment. So 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago now, I got a job at a skincare company in their marketing department. And I learned everything I needed to know about skincare for my face, and it changed my life. It changed how I took care of my skin.
Yeah.
And then I sat in your class and I was like, oh my God, I need to be looking after my other cheeks as well. And it never occurred to me that this part of my body that I love and I'm so obsessed with, and I show off to quite a number of people.
Yep. Same.
I am not actually taken care of in any serious way. So did you have something similar basically once you started talking to your doctor? Like you went from zero routine to actually having a routine?
I am ADHD, so I'm like notoriously bad at taking care of myself in reality. As I get older, I'm like, this is not panning out well. So I've made myself a routine and it is working. But basically I've learned keeping it simple is key, because otherwise consistency and simple is better than complicated and every once in a while. 100%.
Yeah.
With your face and with your butt.
And your life, actually.
Your life in general. It's just general advice. That's the way to go.
Keep it simple, keep it consistent. That's how you move forward.
Yeah, I had no routine going into it. I would moisturize before parties and drink water because that's what everyone told me to do. And yet I would go to parties and my skin would be toast by the end of the weekend. And I was like, what is going on? Even when I was sick and just playing with my top Kelly, like she would be like, spanked you for 30 minutes and you are bruising. We need to figure something out. That's when I outed myself and was like, I need help because I need to be able to play longer than 12 minutes. And so that was when I developed a routine, and it was mostly different lotions and locking in lotions with an occlusive like Vaseline, and then gentle exfoliation, and then just keeping up on nutrition based things as well, which was a key component that I was not great at.
Again,
that's what my degree is in.
It's like, you know, the nutrition matters in all aspects of life, including that. But like, what is that? No alcohol? Like, or very little alcohol?
I don't want to be the person that's like don't drink and play, because in reality, my spicy take is like people can have a drink and go play and it's probably okay. Like we are all consenting adults. We can make our own decisions.
Yeah, fair.
Like if you're not visibly drunk, like that's a different,
it's
right?
so
like
different.
There's different situations, right? But the reason why I care about alcohol is actually because of bruising. And I said that in my class. I was like, the number one thing that I ask people, particularly at parties, because people will go down to the bar to take the edge off and then come back up and forget that they even had a drink or two, right? And that's fine in terms of consent, but that's doesn't actually give me a lot of information if you don't tell me, because alcohol is a blood thinner, which is fun if you don't realize as a top that somebody has been drinking, and then you go to hit them and all of a sudden they're bruising. And especially if you've played with them before and you're like, I've never seen you bruise like this, that is a bit of a mind fuck. It's just useful information, right? It's similar to asking if somebody's taken Advil or a blood thinner, right? Like it's the same concept.
It's sort of like a quick medical check.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
When you play with someone over and over again, sometimes you do get into that routine, and you're so right about that. Also, if they're not used to bruising themselves and then they see bruises, that can be alarming.
And also just like I've said in the workshop, I live in Texas. Like people want to go swimming and wear shorts, and it's hot as balls outside right now. And I don't really want to have to wear jeans everywhere I go. I don't want to like make people see especially if it's like obvious cane welts or something like that. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't really want to like walk around my neighborhood with that showing off after, right? But the other side of that is I want to have a good party, and I want to get my money's worth of something that I spent a lot of money on to like go do. And so that it's hard to mix that in. And I tried to make sure that in the workshop, I was like, it's okay to do hard play. You just need to know how to take care of it afterwards. And you need to know your limits, right? Like if you really can't mark, then I don't have a magic eraser for you.
You spoke about this, the hickey thing, like the brushing it out with a comb, remember? Well, like we did that, or we tried.
Yeah. Or like a cold spoon was always the one that I was told, which I was like, okay.
I couldn't imagine that working though, because it's just like a cold spoon.
No.
There's no real tried and true way to easily get rid of bruises once they're on you.
There are a couple of things you can do. The main thing is immediately after, that's the time to ice. I hear people talking about like, oh, I went home and 72 hours later, I'm still icing my butt. And I'm like, that's not going to do anything, guys. Because the idea of ice and bruising is to slow the blood flow, right? And so after you get hit, that is the time to put ice on. Use a cloth. You don't want ice burn. Usually at hotel rooms, it's like a Ziploc bag and
like
the
or the
ice
little
machine,
ice bag.
Whatever you got, right? And then 72 hours after, that's when you start adding heat. And so it's light heat and then gentle massage. And you can get rid of it. And then the extra little fun fact, you can just put KT tape over it and it looks like a sports injury.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call. Yeah.
I think that sometimes people are like, oh, well, I can't wear shorts. And I'm like, no, you can wear shorts. I wear shorts. I just put KT tape over it and then take it off at night, do your normal moisturizing routine. But if you need to go somewhere and you need to have your marks out for whatever reason, whether it's swimming or an event or whatever you're doing, just throw some KT tape on it.
It just puts the mind in the place of, oh, this is a sports injury.
And no one will have a second thought about it, is the other thing. There's no follow-up questions. There's no, why are there perfect stripes? You don't need to have any of that.
I did not see your cane stripes on the front of your thighs, but my roommate came back with them and they were so beautiful. I think hers probably disappeared within 3 or 4 days. I cannot remember, but I was like, wow, I don't want to be caned on my thighs anywhere, actually. But if I did, I would want it to look like that.
It is a very special thing to be able to have somebody like mark you that
precisely.
Yeah, it's like somebody was like, I see a lot of people tap their cane and then they hit like 3 inches from where they were tapping a lot of times, which does happen. Like canes are notoriously difficult implements to use. They just are. My partner Kelly has kind of gotten in the fronts of thighs down to a T. I mean, she has the rest of canes down to a T too.
I've been to her strapping classes before, and I don't think I had never seen her use a cane until at TASP. This wonderful party but like my first blog entry was about a play scene I had at TASP because it was just the most magical time.
Amazing.
So the Texas Allstate Spanking Party happens every June in Dallas. I went and I signed up for the judicial event, which I am still maybe mentally recovering from. And I don't know why. I even signed up to get the photograph, and I'm like, I did not need this angle of myself knowing what everybody was seeing. But I'm going to explain the judicial event really quick. It's a headspacey, immersive scene. So people sign up. It's all consensual. We sign up. We put on like an orange t-shirt, and we are marched to the front of an auditorium. And the idea is that this is a judicial punishment. Like, we're in prison and getting punished one by one publicly. I signed up to do this. When you sign up in advance, you just fill it out. You say whether you want it soft, medium, or hard, and panties up or down, and how many strokes you want, and in what implement. Okay, so those are your options. I chose to have a male spanker. That's my preference. For some reason, I chose panties down, which I couldn't believe I chose that. And I chose medium 10. Thank God. And there's one more option. Severe, right? And some people choose that. Yeah. So I got mine done pretty early on. So I got to watch other people, and I watched Kelly give some of the most impressive, frightening canings I have ever seen in my entire life. And I can say that without question. I was a pro dom. I've been around a lot of canings. This was not the first severe scene I'd seen, but oh my gosh, I think it's the headspaciness of it and everything like that. So for anyone who is going to TASP, think seriously about it. But if that is your fantasy, I would highly recommend signing up. I don't know if I could ever recommend, even if it's your fantasy, someone choosing severe, because it was so intense, and the crowd, like, you could hear a pin drop except for the actual caning, but it's like, okay, yeah. That's my aside story of watching Kelly really be precise and impressive with the cane. And one of the things I noticed was, I think that happens on a Sunday, she had to work around other people's marks, bruises, cuts. And then you were on hand, Flora. What role were you playing?
So I played nurse at Judicial, which is exactly what it sounds like. They come off the stage and I get to look at their butt. It's really fun. Then be like, okay, you have some open skin here, or you have a bandage that is already coming off. Do you want me to fix it? And then fixing whatever they need, giving them a towel, some water to come down, because it is, like you said, it is our most intense event by a wide margin, like very wide margin. And I tell people, I'm like, if this isn't one of your fantasies, you should probably at least watch it before you decide if you want to do it. Like,
I should have done that.
Like, I do tell them, I'm like, you really should watch it, because the other thing is it's different at different events, right? Like, some parties, I know that it's more humorous, and TASP has tried to really make this the most serious thing possible, because there are multiple people in our Dallas community that is their core fetish. And so it has stayed that way, and we will keep it that way. But I always tell people, I'm like, no, you really should watch the TASP one before you try and do it. If not, you should talk to someone.
I should have done that, and I didn't. And I like owning up to that, because, like, even I make mistakes, and some people don't realize that. Everyone knows I love an interrogation scene and I like extreme things. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I really do want to try this. I don't regret trying it at all. I don't know if I would do it again, because it was so headspacey, intense, embarrassing. And I found it's the most headspacey event I've ever done. So that was amazing in itself.
Yeah, it is remarkable. Somebody explained it to me as they were like, I've been to all of these other events all weekend long that are like loud and crazy, and that is overstimulating. And they were like, and then I was in here and I thought that I wouldn't be overstimulated. And it was the most overstimulated I've been the entire weekend, because it is so intense. And I was like,
really is. It's intense for the audience. I spoke to some people afterwards, and they talked about how difficult it was to watch for some of them.
I actually can't watch it. Like, that's the reason why I am the nurse. Like, I would nurse in it and I would top in it, but I will not bottom in it, and I will not watch it, because I just know that I wouldn't cope with it well.
I don't think I did cope with it well.
And that's not anything to the, like, proficiency of the tops. That's not it. It's just, like, it's intense.
You all do a really good job of putting it together. It's so nice when you do come off the stage though, and you have water and a towel, and then you're all sort of sitting together. It makes a huge difference. It's the aftercare you need. You're not even thinking about aftercare after something like that, but
it's the whole reason why we have those mats. Now we have, like, a different group doing our dungeon. We used to get all of our dungeon furniture together, and it was so chaotic. And so now we have, like, a team of people who do it for us, which is way better. Team dungeons are great. But now we just have these wrestling mats, and we were like, do we still need wrestling mats? We were in our storage unit, and I was like, yes, we do. We need them for the Judicial event. And everyone was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. We've got them on hand for that.
Every 2 months you have bottoms up as well, right? And that's like a mini party?
Yeah, so Bottoms Up is where TASP stems from. So Bottoms Up technically owns TASP. Bottom Up is what hosts TASP every June. And it is every other month. There's usually a theme involved. So our next one is back to school, which usually people just show up in school uniforms or whatever they want to wear. But the theme is school attire-ish. And it is basically just if you took the evening suites at TASP, which start around 7, and they go to like 2 or 3 or whenever people decide to go home, is what we say. It's like, whenever the party ends, the party ends. Back to school is our only one that is 2 nights. And it's 2 nights for $30, and
Wow.
Yeah, our goal is to make it really accessible. That is Kelly's whole thing, and has always been her thing, is that she wants everyone to be able to get their kink needs met, even if it means making the party $30 and the
Which is
leftover
hard to
money.
do.
Yeah, it's really hard, especially because hotel contracts, y'all, are expensive. People don't make money off of this. Like, the amounts in
No.
which I need people to understand, people do not make money off of spanking
It
parties.
is an actual labor of love.
It
It is
is.
literally a labor of love to throw these parties, because I've had
It
for
is.
any type of convention, most of them
Yeah.
aren't making money.
And I think that people don't understand that. And then they have specific expectations, especially if it's their first time. And that's fair. Like, you're paying a lot of money. You're wanting to come do these things, especially at national parties. And that is the moment when I'm like, you should go to a bottoms up. The 2-night is $30. The 1-nights, which are the every other month, are $20. And there is a block. So you can register with the hotel and you can get into our block, or you can just come if you're staying in the area. Just show up and you can pay at the door, or you can pre-register online. It's the same price either way. We set out some M&Ms and we have a good time, and it's very community oriented, and you have some regulars and then you have people who come in. So I think actually like quite a few people from TASP who are out of state will be coming in for bottoms up, partially to just like cure some drop post TASP, I think is like the
Oh my
is
gosh.
the gist that I get usually, but it's real and it's a good time.
The post-party drop is very freaking real. I don't think I've ever felt it as much as I did at TASP. I live in Vegas. Oasis happens in Vegas, so I've never had to travel for a spanking party. All of it, like the excitement of going on a trip, all of it, like the come down after that is intense. So it is a lot. I'd like to find a local spanker to sort of take the edge off for me. We have gone through a couple of things, but I'm wondering if we can do like a quick rundown of, if I want to moisturize, what should I be getting? What ingredients should I be looking for? What's the best way to take care of my skin, both on a day-to-day basis and then maybe post-play, pre-play? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. So day to day, usually, unless you have aggressively dry skin, I'm talking like cracking, flaking, right? Like, if that is the thing, then that's a different story. You probably need something a little heavier duty than just like Cetaphil. But for most people, something like Cetaphil or CeraVe or Aveeno will work. Those have
all
different
things you get at your drugstore,
Yeah,
like
so-
CVS.
This is the other thing. I really have this pet peeve of people being like, I got this super fancy lotion. I'm like, that's great. That's not accessible for the vast majority of people. We need a different option. So the other ones at the drugstore work, y'all. It's fine.
Yeah, everyone you've mentioned is a drugstore option.
Yeah, so there's a couple different things about each one. The other option is Eucerin, which is a little bit more of an occlusive, like an Aquaphor. It's a little bit heavier duty. That's more for somebody who has really, really dry skin. If they have like eczema, that would be a good option. But Cetaphil is generally what my doctor has decided to just tell everybody now. He's like, because it's super, super sensitive skin safe. It is mostly glycerin, which is great for people with sensitive skin. It's glycerin and some other simple emollients, which is basically just other ways to moisturize. It won't irritate your skin. It is also fragrance free, which
important.
Fun fact, yeah. So a lot of people get really nice smelling lotions and they have essential oils in them, and that's great, except for the fact that if you are going to play on top of essential oils, they can irritate your skin, because a lot of essential oils will react to heat and friction. And so if it is on your skin, that is not going to feel very good.
If you're not playing, okay, but if you're going to be playing eventually or within a time frame.
So like, it's totally fine if you're like a couple weeks out from the party and you're like, I have this really fun thing and I went to the spa and I want to do this. Great, cool. But if it's just pre-party, like, I would go lighter. And personally, like, I like a light lotion every day because also it makes your skin less prone to breakouts and ingrowns, which is the other reason why people get open skin, is because they'll have like the teeniest, tiniest pimple and all of a sudden it opens and it spreads as you keep on playing on top of it, right? And so the best way to avoid skin opening is also to make sure that your skin is clear. And so something like Cetaphil is really light and very useful in that circumstance. The other options that I see a lot of people use are CeraVe and Aveeno. I know at TASP we actually have those on hand. We keep them in the suite for people at this point because we're like, y'all need to moisturize more.
And teaching anyone to drink more water. Sometimes you just gotta put it in their hand.
Yeah, you just have to like leave it right there and hope that people utilize it. Aveeno is known for being really useful for people post-party. I see a lot of people use it post-play. The reason why is because that has colloidal oatmeal in it. So it is really good for itchy skin. I hear a lot of people about a week after I got a lot of messages being like, my butt's itchy. And I'm like, yeah, you gotta moisturize, guys. And then the answer is usually Aveeno for that.
Okay, my butt itches within 24 hours. Like that is often the most irritating. There's no other word for it. It's
so
literally
annoying.
figuratively. Like it makes me feel sick to my stomach because it's so itchy that sitting down, it's not the pain, it's not the bruising, it's the itching that really gets
irritating.
me.
So colloidal oatmeal is great for that. That is literally what it's made for. Aveeno often is used for people with eczema because it calms down the inflammation and the itchiness. It is a little bit thicker than Cetaphil, so if you are prone to breakouts after a couple weeks of using it, I might suggest moving to a different option unless you are just constantly having dry skin problems, or if you live, like you're living in Vegas, it's really dry there, so you could go with a heavier duty lotion and it would probably be fine, right? But for somebody who is living in a really humid place, for instance, Dallas currently is like 60% humidity, that's not it for some.
I also just like lighter, so I would always go lighter. But for the itching, I would do whatever it takes. Yeah. I would put an inch of cream on.
Oh man,
get rid of the itching.
It's super annoying. The other thing is with like itchy, a lot of people will go in and take a hot shower because it's like it feels good right in that moment. It feels like it's relieving it, but it will not feel good long term. Everyone is like, I'm gonna go in the hot tub, and I'm like, okay, you do that. Make sure to rinse off your body and moisturize. I feel like a mom just like chirping in people's ear all weekend.
The moisturizing, I know I'm bad at it.
It's hard to add it into your schedule. I have just started putting it in my nightly routine. I think that if you try and build it somewhere else into the day, like it's probably not gonna happen.
No.
Like, let's be realistic here. It's probably not gonna happen. So I do it in the evening, either like after I shower, or if I'm just going to bed, then I'll do it like literally while I'm brushing my teeth, like something really quick. Even if it's just one of the steps is better than none. And then the other option, which is CeraVe. We have CeraVe in our suites. It is, I actually can't use it because I'm allergic to it.
Oh, no way.
But it is also the thing that I hear the most people have success with. That is probably because it has hyaluronic acid in it, which is a constantly talked about thing that I hear a lot of people reference. And it's great. Don't get me wrong. I love hyaluronic acid. I think it's very useful. The only thing is sometimes it gets suggested without the little asterisks of if you don't drink enough water and you are in a dry environment, it will take the moisture from your skin instead of putting moisture in your skin. And so people will be using it in like Vegas when we're at Oasis. And I'm like, if you're not drinking water, you are going to just irritate your butt, y'all. Like you need to like drink some water or use
even
a
if you
different lotion.
are, you need a lot of water.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's kind of the down low on the three main ones. And then the Eucerin, like I said, that one has urea in it and it's an occlusive. So that is really more for a heavy duty. It would be akin to using like a body butter, which is heavy and I would say would make you more prone to breakouts unless you are flaking or cracking. Like some people's skin will literally crack, and like you see a lot of people's skin turn white when they get hit, right? And that's dry skin. That's just what it is. It's dry skin. Yeah. Some people are more prone to dry skin. Generally, the more melanated you are more prone to dry skin. Like that is just kind of how it goes. And so you kind of have to balance that out, right? So if you have somebody who's really melanated and you're doing cane stripes on them and you see white marks, like that is just a sign that you're probably just hitting them and that's how they're marking, and that's fine. Yeah. And then you just have to be a little more careful about watching to see if there's like some bruising undertones or if it's starting to weep, then that's the moment you need to take a step back with something like that.
What is the threat of playing past weeping?
The threat of playing past weeping is, for the most part, just open skin. Usually with open skin, I think people think that when I say open skin, sometimes they think I mean like a gash. And I'm like, that's not what I mean. Like if you've gotten to a gash, that is something that either you have pre-negotiated or somebody has aggressively fucked up.
And I've seen both.
Usually open skin for most spankos comes in, it'll look like a little patch basically. And it will be like usually it's a weak spot, or it's a spot that has just been hit repeatedly because it might be because someone's hitting unevenly. Like usually if you get a strap, someone will hit more on one cheek than the other. And that is a thing that happens. And usually it's a little patch that has skin where it's just kind of gotten rubbed off from friction. Often I see people talk about how it's like no wood until Sundays, and my little pet peeve with this is like, if I use a 6-foot strap, I could take off the same amount of skin that I could take off with a hairbrush in reality.
And just for everyone listening, I know the rule too, no wood until Sundays. You show up at these parties on Thursday, you play hard all weekend, but if you play on Thursday night with a hairbrush or a wooden paddle, fuck, you might ruin your whole weekend.
Yeah, and
you might.
Because the other thing is like a lot of this is very pain tolerance related, right? So it's like if you have a really high pain tolerance and it doesn't matter if you're bruising aggressively and you don't care if you play over bruises, then like you playing on wood on Friday doesn't matter as much. If you are worried about your skin breaking open, right? Like that is a different situation. And sometimes you kind of have to decide like which one is my priority in this situation. Honestly, like I'm happy to play with a paddle over jeans on Thursday, Friday, because one, it's over jeans. So like I feel pretty confident that nothing is going to happen, even if somebody like took a hard swing at me. But the other thing is that like with a strap is a lot of friction. And so no matter how good of technique your top has, they could have the best technique in the world, it still pulls your skin. Like that is the whole thing of a strap. And so if you continuously pull on your skin, particularly if your skin has a weak spot already, you are prone to opening that up. And that's where that little patch comes in when we have open skin that we talk about. And usually you won't notice it in the moment because you're high on endorphins and like you're in the midst of the scene and you won't really know. And then after, sometimes, particularly new tops, I think don't catch it because it looks like weeping sometimes, especially if their butt gets red, particularly. You won't see it because their butt is
it's
just
a different
red.
thing. Yeah.
But if you are weeping, that is the moment that you need to be looking in that area to see if any area is like, particularly if it's starting to get raised. Once it gets raised and then you start hitting on top of it, that is when you open up the skin, and then you are prone to having weak spots for a while. And weak spots, for those listening who are not aware of what weak spots are, it's basically just a spot that has been hit over and over again and then has at some point been opened, and when you go back to play on top of it, it's more prone to opening up again, and it's really annoying. So I kind of tell people like, if you're gonna play a lot and you don't want something to open up constantly, you probably need to work to make sure that you're not playing to open skin. Some people are fine with playing to open skin, and that is like a choice that they can make. I, as a top, will not play to open skin unless somebody specifically asks, and I think as a general rule, that is like a pretty, and I think that is kind of the standard at spanking parties in general, right? It's like when you see weeping, you stop and then renegotiate and talk about it. But the main issue really with weeping is the skin opening and then having weak spots down the road for years and years.
Yeah. I ask because I've played past weeping on myself. I don't enjoy doing that as a top, but I know I've done it. I'm like, okay, what are the risks here? Let me at least be risk aware in my practice if I'm going to do that. Another thing that I've done, we're just going through all of Amanda's mistakes today and things that she has done. This wasn't so much a mistake. I used to be a pro sub way back in the day when I worked in a dungeon. I was also a pro dom, but I got leather butt because I was one of the hard subs. And I feel, memory is a weird thing. I'm like, I feel like I had leather butt for 6 months. I know that sounds crazy, but I really think that it lasted for a very long time. Leather butt, for those listening, as someone who has gotten it, your butt, well, my butt at least, genuinely felt like it had a thick, almost quarter of an inch layer on it. I'm not saying it was that, but when you touched it, it almost felt like it moved in this one big mass because it was thick like leather, and it felt gross. It was dry. It was not attractive for me to have that. It wasn't attractive to myself. I don't think it was attractive to anyone else who had to feel it. I played a little lighter to try and let it go away, but like, what could I have done possibly to avoid it or like gotten rid of it sooner? Have you ever had it, Flora?
I particularly like when I was first coming in and I was playing a lot and I was only bottoming, and so at parties I was just running around for 4 days straight just being like, hit me. I got leather butt very quickly, especially because I was in a dynamic, so I was able to get my needs met kind of every day. And basically the thing is the more you play, the more likely you are to have leather butt, which sucks. That just is what it is. And leather butt is very akin to going on the monkey bars and getting calluses on your hands. If you stop going on the monkey bars, you will eventually not have the calluses. It is the same thing with this, right? Like if you stop playing, you will not have the leather butt. But that is not always an option, whether it's because you are a pro at the time and so like that's not an option, right? It might be because you're filming. It might just be because you have another party to go to and you don't want to have leather butt the next party you go to. The main things with that are One, hydrating beforehand. It's cheesy. We say it all the time. Like, the more you hydrate, the better off your skin is going to be. The whole thing about your skin recovering and your skin developing leather butt in the first place is how resilient it is. So drinking a lot of water. The other thing that I am going to harp on for a second is people eating enough protein. There is a thing at parties where people will accidentally brag about the fact that they haven't eaten a real meal in a day, or they haven't eaten because they're running around and doing things. And I'm like, that's great. That's fun. And yes, it is a very relatable experience. Don't get me wrong.
It's true.
It's super relatable. And also, you need to eat actual protein, because protein is the thing that is going to help you rebuild that tissue faster. And it will help you rebuild healthy tissue faster. And in reality, leather butt is calloused tissue. And so if we are going to try to replace that, we need more nutrients in our bodies than what we are probably getting post-play often. People a lot of times see me walking around parties with like a protein shake. You don't need to be that aggressive. I just actually really like protein shakes. But like, I actually find them very useful because I don't like playing while feeling full.
And sometimes you're on your stomach, literally.
Exactly. So I don't know, maybe this is a girl thing because I said this to multiple guys and they were like, huh? So that's my little spiel on protein. The other thing that you can do is you can exfoliate. You can moisturize. The more you moisturize, the better. So I actually weirdly managed to get rid of my leather butt accidentally while I was getting rid of a weak spot as well that had opened up during a party, which was I took Tegaderm and I put Vaseline on my butt and then put Tegaderm over it, basically like a mask after I played.
This is so smart. I'm literally like, oh my gosh.
Because what it does is it doesn't allow your skin to harden. You are making it moisturized inside there and trapping it. And it was while I was in Vegas, like my skin was already dry because I was in Vegas in an air-conditioned hotel. Like, that's just how it goes. So I did that, got rid of most of my leather butt, I would say, within about a month. And so I didn't do that every night, but that was the thing that like really sped up my process. And then after that, it was just being really consistent about putting on moisturizer. Vitamin C serum will still help in that situation. A more aggressive exfoliant, if it's, I would say, after like a week and your skin is calmed down and not irritated. If it's just that like leather butt and you're seeing it after a week, you can go in with a higher aggressive exfoliant and be okay, assuming that you're not going to play like within the next 72 hours.
25-year-old me needed to hear all of this.
Right?
36-year-old me is a little bit like, all of this makes sense. I don't play to leather butt anymore, but I'll never forget having it. And callous is the word I was missing. It was exactly like the thing I have on my feet from time to time if I haven't been for a pedicure in a minute.
Right. It's like literally as hard. And it's interesting too, because it's really hard to explain to somebody who hasn't seen it before. Like, somebody will often ask me like, what's leather butt? Because I'll talk about it at a party and I'll be like, oh, like I had leather butt this time or whatever. I always hear somebody be like, what's leather butt? And I'm like, I truly do not know how to explain this to you without you seeing it, because it's like you poke it and the butt is literally hard.
Yes, that's like literally I felt like I could move a butt cheek, like just move any part of it, and
like
the whole thing
moves instead of just like poking that one spot and there being a small indentation. It's like the whole circle goes down when you poke in one spot. And it's really, really wild. And I remember the first time I got it, I freaked out because I didn't know what it was. No one had explained it to me. I like came to Kelly crying and was like, what is wrong with my skin? Because I was already having so many skin problems. I'd managed to make it like so that it wasn't breaking open, and she was like, sweetie, it's fine, it's okay. And then later we did figure out it was like, and weirdly the Tegaderm Vaseline thing was completely trial and error in reality, like, but I have done it multiple times since then and this still worked every single time. And so now I'm just like, look, it's really aggressive moisturizing, like that's the answer.
And it makes so much sense. I definitely wasn't hydrating, I wasn't moisturizing, I wasn't eating enough protein. Like in my mid-20s running around New York City, I was doing all the opposite.
People who do that, to be fair, like things.
No, 36-year-old me has most of that on lock. Now I have figured it out.
I've got it down. I've got it down now. Yeah, it is.
There are some things I've learned. That is one of them.
It's fun because our household is me as a almost 24-year-old, very young, then Kelly, who is 10 years older than me, and then Vic, who's in his 50s, and we all live in a house together. Our range of party experience is remarkably different and has a lot of similarities, but there are some things in there that I'm like, Vic, that is not a relatable experience. Man. Like, I don't know, I'm kind of tired and done for the night. I could go to bed now.
Yeah, I think age plays a part in that too, because at a certain point you stop having FOMO a little bit. Like the fear of missing out, it's like, nah, lived it, done it, it'll be here tomorrow.
As you start going to more things, like the first 3 or 4 parties, but now I go to like 3 to 4 parties a year, plus bottoms up every other month. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to be up until 4 a.m. I don't think I'm gonna miss out. I'm gonna be honest. And there's some events that I've just learned that like aren't for me, and that's fine too. But that is a bit of trial and error, and I think I am quite lucky in the sense that I have multiple opportunities per year to figure out what works for me and what doesn't. That is obviously a very specific experience.
Yeah, so. And you do have to figure it out. I'm really big on my own sleep. Like I think Friday night of the party, I left at like 9:30 or 10, got in bed and slept for hours, and I was like, I'm happy. This felt
this
good.
Is great.
I told everyone the next day about this amazing sleep I had.
Yeah, and they're all sitting there like, what?
Yeah, well, they were like, I was in the suite till 5 a.m. type of like, that's the contrast.
This year I was up until like 3 a.m. trying to get people to be quiet in the hallway.
I attended your class at 10 a.m. the next morning, I think. Or you were one of the first classes. And that's another thing. It's like, if anyone does go to these, and I always encourage people to, no matter what your fetish is, whatever it is, look it up, find a convention that's for you, and go. Nothing is more normalizing, affirming than going to one of these. But people are always asking me, how do I learn this? How do I learn that? Go to these conventions and sign up for the classes. Attend the classes.
I feel like my pet peeve as both a top and a bottom right now is, I would say particularly spankos, but like in general, I would say sometimes when you are in the scene for multiple years, you kind of have this routine when you get to parties or events or whatever it is, you think you have it down pat and you kind of lose that curiosity factor that you have when you first come in, right?
Yeah.
Like when I first came in, I was curious about everything and I had a lot of questions and tried to make it to everything that I could. And then now it's like, okay, I know that I probably don't need to attend an early bird orientation. Like I feel pretty confident about that, right? Or like I personally am not a huge fan of Spanky Hawkins. Like that is not my style. And so like I know that I can dip out on that and like that's fine. But the thing about the workshops and the demos is one, they're often different, right? Something about learning from people's core fetish where that is their core fetish, where that is really fascinating because it's things that we would never think of because that's not our core fetish. It might be something we're interested in, or it might be like an optional kink that we have, right? Where it's like, I don't need this fulfilled, but it'd be fun to do it once or twice. I just have this thing of like, I talked to one guy who, this was a couple years ago, who was like, there's not much to do during school at TASP. And I was like, oh, there's actually a class going on. Like you could go to the class. And he literally looked at me dead in the face and goes, I'm not here to learn. and I literally audibly laughed out loud. What are you here for? I mean that so seriously because my thing is, it's like, if you are coming into a space where you are going to be incredibly vulnerable, you need to be willing to be curious at the same time.
That's like my big rule. Lead with curiosity.
Have to go hand in hand. And if you are not willing to do that, you are not going to have as good of an experience. And
I agree with that. There's like zero argument there. I'm
very frustrated with people about not going to workshops. Workshops and like educational things, I think, have kind of become my small baby of parties of trying to make sure that people go.
Yeah, when I go, I prioritize them. And like, just for context, I was a professional dom in a New York City dungeon. People paid me to cane them, and I still showed up to a caning class at a party once, right? Because you never know what you're going to learn. Yeah. Also, I'm out of practice. I haven't caned anyone in a long time.
That's my other thing is I'm like, I could go to Kelly's strapping class and also go to Dave's strapping class and learn two different things. And in reality, like my technique is smack in between theirs. Because I learned from both of them. Like I watched Dave, I experienced it. I demo bottomed for Dave in one of his classes at some point at TASP. And so it's like, that was an experience where I learned, Dave has like a little, I don't know if you've experienced this as the bottom or if you've seen him do it, but he has this little like up and under motion that he does.
Fucking multiple times.
Oh my God.
Fucking know. He has nearly floored me.
Yeah. And it is so specifically Dave. And I adore him for it. Like, and it is really, really interesting because that is something the vast majority of tops when you are bent over do not do, particularly with leather. Like that is, it's also more difficult. Like it's a hard motion to achieve. And Kelly is very adamant. She's like, you do not need to learn bent over unless you are planning to top in judicial, you did racket sports as growing up, or you are British because Vic is British and he learned to do everything bent over.
And also it's kind of like the way you said that, it reminded me of like sometimes you go to a gym and you work out with a personal trainer who looks at your body, understands how it works, and says, you need to be doing this exercise this slightly different way because of how you function. You could open up a whole new world just by attending these classes. Yeah. Wait, I caught the sheet. So you gave a handout at your class, vitamin C. What are those for?
Niacinamide and vitamin C C are both just incredibly useful for post-party type things. Vitamin C is kind of the thing I talked about for hyperpigmentation and also for leather butt, which is just like it lightens. The studies on collagen are a little bit tricky because we don't really know like what is the best way to ingest collagen and like have extra collagen in your system, but you can produce more collagen through vitamin C. So that is kind of why people have stuck with the vitamin C, because it also helps produce collagen in addition to helping brightening and lightening the skin around it. So that's fun. The other thing is azelaic acid is a really good exfoliant.
Okay.
So I looked this up. So that is a little bit more heavy duty, I would say. It is kind of one of those things that people tend to use post-party with leather butt that I always say, like, that's fine. Just make sure you use it like a week after when your skin has kind of
healed a little,
chilled out a little bit. You don't need to exfoliate just after you've been weeping. Your skin is not going to appreciate that. And in reality, if you're like me or you, where you're dealing with some of that hyperpigmentation situation, I see it a lot on people who are like ever so slightly melanated, and then all of a sudden they're like, why is my butt more melanated than the rest of my body? That's the situation. It's hyperpigmentation. And if you are irritating it more, like it's just going to turn darker and darker. So wait a little bit, and then that's a good option. Niacinamide is very similar to hyaluronic acid. It's used in a lot of the Aveeno Cetaphil. It helps reduce inflammation and improves skin tone, helps with repair. It is really helpful, particularly with soothing some of that like post-play redness and like evening your skin out over time. So if you are dealing with hyperpigmentation, using that after, it's a little bit gentler than like azelaic acid, and it can be in a cream or a lotion that you put on, and it's useful. Use it every day and it's great.
Flora, any parting words for our kinksters out there who have never been to a party, or anyone who is who wants to get into this and wants to make sure they're doing it right from the start? Any advice?
Honestly, don't have much advice other than show up and be curious. That's my whole thing going forward, is just show up and be curious.
I love that. That is so simple, to the point. Kink Consultant's seal of approval on that advice. That is solid.
Let's just all be a little more curious. I feel like we'll all be better off in the community if we all just make it simple, keep it simple, and just...
well, like one of the things I tell all my clients is lead with curiosity and gratitude. Those are my two things. And I actually think that applies to parties too. Lead with curiosity when you go, and gratitude for the people who are giving up their time and energy to make this a great experience. It runs on volunteers.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's the other thing. If you're going to an event, even if you're new, volunteer. I promise there is something that you can do as a newbie to help the party run. And you will be better off for it because you will meet people. I have so many people who come up to me halfway through the weekend and they're like, I have a suggestion. I'm like, did you volunteer? I would love to take your suggestion. And also, like, I need you to also contribute to this because this is a lot of work.
Tons.
And it doesn't function without community. That is how all of these events run. That's my other advice. Be curious and volunteer.
Yes, please volunteer. Flora, thank you so much. If anyone wants to find Flora, you can find her on FetLife at _F10RA. Also the same on X. Clips for sale. Do you want to say the number?
It is 163305. I film with Kelly through her studio, so all of my bottoming content is there, and I suspect topping content at some point, but it is mostly bottoming content for now. So
awesome. Okay, definitely go follow Flora in all of those different areas and check out those videos because they are hot as fuck. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of this knowledge that you've built over a number of years.
Oh, thank you for having me and letting me share it. It's been a really good time.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone who might find it interesting. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out. Email info@thekinkconsultant.com. Until next time, keep on kinking on.